Welcome into the Thunder Basketball Universe presented by Summer Moon Coffee. We are recording this episode on Wednesday. It is October 29th. Halloween is just around the corner, and the Thunder is 5 games into this regular season, although it feels like mentally they've played like 30 games. And here's why. Those 5 games have happened over the course of just 8 days. The first 2 games were double overtime games, and then 4 of those 5 games went into clutch time. So it just feels like we've watched a lot of basketball.
Don't forget about the 6 preseason games also that included a back-to-back. So,
yeah.
But really, I think it's the clutch time games that is what's standing out, because those final minutes, those final 5 minutes where the score is within 5 points, those feel like an eternity. Yeah. And so for the Thunder to have played 4 of those already and to come out unscathed in terms of the win-loss column, you love to see that, but there's so many great lessons that this team is gleaning right now.
Yeah.
And they're getting a great chance to apply what they practice in real time.
And not to mention the last 3 games, well, really 3 of those 5 games were on the road in 2 different time zones. So it's really nice. The Thunder has a nice 3-game homestand right now, 1 game into it. The best part about it is Nick's going to be home over the weekend during Halloween.
Yeah, that's right.
I know that neighborhood is going to go crazy for Halloween.
We'll be rocking. Yeah.
What Halloween costumes are we working with this year?
All right, so my daughter's going to be a black cat.
Nice.
My middle son is going to be the Grinch. So if you see a little Grinch running around there, that's his deal. He loves being the villain.
It's perfect.
And then my youngest is going to be a member of the Paw Patrol.
Oh, classic. You can't go wrong with that.
Yeah.
I love that so much. I will be watching scary movies at home.
Oh,
yes.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
You don't want to come by? You want to come by, pass out candy?
I would love to help out.
We can use as many hands on deck as we can get, as you know. Yeah.
Yeah. Get you a nice man-to-man defense against those 3 kids.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's we have so much to talk about when it comes to this Thunder roster. And I think we should just go ahead and start with the Summer Moon stat of the week for this past week. So much basketball has been played, as we've talked about. So, Nick, why don't you go first? What's your stat of the week?
Minus 15-4.
Is this 15-4 the run that the Thunder went on to close the game in the last 5 minutes?
Last night. Even.
Last night?
Yes. Hard to believe it was just last night. You got it exactly right. Yes.
Yeah, that feels like 48 hours ago. But yes. That run that the Thunder went on was massive against the Kings, because it was an uphill battle all night long. And finally, when the Thunder needed to really find a way to win that game, they made all the right plays.
Yeah, it felt like it was going to be one of those nights, one of those Sisyphean nights where the Thunder was just kind of pushing that boulder up the hill again and again to just have it roll back down on it. The Kings seemed to be more in control of the game flow for a good portion of the game. That Kings team played quite loose, and the Thunder, as they all said after the game, didn't quite have all of its habits engaged and intact, particularly in the first half when they gave up 62 points. And so it took the Thunder really digging in defensively in that third quarter. They didn't make a ton of progress on the scoreboard in the third quarter, but what it did is it set a defensive tone that allowed the offense to finally get rolling and bubble up late in the game, which allowed that 15-4 run late and ultimately the 107-101 win over the Kings in that fourth quarter surge.
Yeah, there were so many different parts to that game in the fourth quarter in particular, but you mentioned the third quarter, and I'm glad you did, because that was the part of the game where it felt like the Thunder got everything just kind of under control.
Yeah.
It was okay, look, obviously, we're not moving the scoreboard too much in this quarter, but you know what, Sacramento? You don't get to move the scoreboard either. They held Sacramento to just 28% shooting from the field in the third quarter, which allowed that game to just remain intact within arm's reach, so that when the shot started falling in the fourth quarter, the Thunder was able to ultimately not only tie the game, but take the lead. Yeah,
and the Thunder got some great looks to go down in that fourth quarter from the three-point line. Alex Caruso, Shai Alexander hit 2 massive ones. And those plays, a lot of the big ones late, including an Isaiah Hartenstein dunk, they all stemmed from hustle.
Yeah.
And again, this is a team that was playing its 5th game in 8 nights. They were wrapping up a stretch of, I've probably said this a zillion times now, but it was 4 games in 6 nights in 4 different cities.
Jeez.
And that's just hard to do. And those cities, all mind you, were far apart from each other. I mean, Indiana to Atlanta to Dallas is not super easy light travel. It's not, taking the Amtrak from DC to Philly. It's a hike. And so those, to be able to have the juice and the energy, particularly with no J-Dub, no Chet Holmgren. Alex Caruso had missed the previous 3 games. Cason Wallace had missed a game in there. And, to have no Isaiah Joe or Kenrich Williams at your disposal either, no Nikola Topic. This is a great effort by this group to be the team that had more juice on the second night of a back-to-back, while Sacramento had been the team that was sitting there in OKC waiting on the Thunder to get back from Dallas.
Yeah, it's really interesting, the energy that we've seen this group play with, despite A, the personnel that's been out with injury, and B, just the compounding fatigue that I imagine has been taking place over the course of these 5 games, and that 15-4 run. It was spectacular for so many reasons, but one of my favorite reasons was just when Lou Dort knocked down that 3.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. The roof almost flew off of Paycom Center. It was so loud in that building.
I was sitting right next to Chris Fisher and Michael Cage, who of course are our amazing play-by-play guy and analysts on our FanDuel Sports Network broadcast. And when the ball swung around to Lou, and that was the shot that got the Thunder its first lead in quite some time, I just looked at them and I was like, of course. Of course it was Lou that was going to hit this shot. Nobody could hit anything all night long. And, Lou gets the ball swung to him and no hesitation, just rips the 3 from the right-hand side and knocked it down. And then it just felt like the floodgates opened up after that. Aaron Wiggins had that amazing save in bounds to get it to Isaiah Hartenstein. Dort then later rips the ball out of Domantas Sabonis' hands, and that gets the wheel turning to create that 3 for Alex Caruso. So all of that stuff, just, every single little piece of the puzzle matters late in these games.
So many different guys stepped up, which leads me to my Summer Moon stat of the week. Also, if it sounds like my voice is down an octave today, it's just because the pollen is swirling in Oklahoma City at like 40 miles an hour, and for some reason my body doesn't like that. It's just just allergies.
It's not the 5 games and 8 nights and all of the pregame show, halftime, and postgame show that you got to deal with?
That might have played a factor as well. Okay. If you watched the post-game show last night and you heard my voice crack, no, you didn't. Yeah. No, you didn't. Okay. My Summer Moon stat of the week is 6.
6.
And this could be a lot of different things.
It certainly could.
I know I'm not helping you at all.
All right. This Jalen Williams is going to be the last player ever to wear the number 6.
That is true. We've talked about that. Yeah.
The number of different players who have scored in double figures for the Thunder over the last few games.
That's a great stat. It's not where I'm going with this.
You're going? Okay.
It is
the number of timeouts you get in a game.
Yeah, it's true. And it felt like every game we've somehow exceeded that number. Yeah. No. So this is the amount of assists that Aaron Wiggins had.
Wow. Good stat.
In the Thunder's game last night.
All right.
So this is just we're gonna spend 6 minutes talking about Aaron Wiggins for this because I think he deserves this. So he steps into the starting lineup for the Thunder against the Sacramento Kings last night. And Aaron, we know this about Aaron. He'll slide into the starting lineup. He'll come off the bench. He'll log a DNP and then score 41 points next game. That's just what he does. He fills the role, whatever's required of him. But one area subtly that has been really improving for Aaron is his ability to facilitate and make the right pass, make the right read. And these 6 assists, you mentioned this is my favorite one, the one where the ball's going out of bounds and Aaron Wiggins literally saves the basketball.
He saved the basketball.
He saved the basketball and got it to Isaiah Hartenstein for a dunk. We talked about it on the postgame show, me and Royce Young, and Royce made a good point that Aaron's typically the guy on the receiving end of those plays where he's such an elite cutter. That's what we knew him to be early on in his career. And it turns out a lot of the best cutters turn into really great passers because they know where the guys are supposed to be. They know where the windows are. They know where to look and anticipate the guys to move to. And so it's really cool to see Aaron be able to make those sort of plays as he develops more in his career.
And also massive for this team to be able to have multiple guys who can be a playmaker for this group. We saw just 2 nights before that, Cason Wallace had 5 assists.
Great point.
And so as teams continue to load up on Shai, they were going to load up on J-Dub and Chet, and they're going to throw so many different things at the Thunder. The key to all of this is you get guys like Ajay Mitchell and Aaron Wiggins and Cason Wallace and Alex Caruso, who had 3 first-half assists. Those guys have to be secondary playmakers when either teams are zoning like Sacramento was doing last night or just trapping really high the way that they did late to try to get the ball out of Shai's hands.
Not to mention, let's talk about the rest of Aaron Wiggins' night because it was massive. He had 18 points. He knocked down 4 threes in this game. My favorite part, aside from the assists, the 3 blocks that he had. all over the court. Literally, his fingerprints were on every corner of this game.
I loved what he did in transition too. I mean, he got the ball up ahead of the floor.
Yeah.
There was one time where he just was going 100 miles an hour and then literally screeched to a halt and stopped.
Yep.
And the defender just flew right past him, and he was able to just put up a real easy layup. But I mean, those are the kinds of things that he practices all the time.
100%.
And again, I think I mentioned this on the broadcast the other night. During the preseason, I was talking to Mark Daignault, and we kind of like made this analogy together of like Aaron Wiggins is like when you're baking. And like he will fill up whatever pan you are using to bake. Like if you want to do the cupcake tins, or you want to do like the meatloaf thing, you like whatever you got. Like Aaron Wiggins, whatever you ask him to do that night, he is going to fill right up to the line.
Exactly,
and he's going to give you exactly what you need on that given night.
And that's a skill, like that level of awareness of just filling the role that the team needs in that specific game. That is a high level skill. And at this point for Aaron, he's told us that it's just instinct and feel out there on the court. But that's not something that every player just naturally has. And Aaron obviously has it in spades. One last thing on Aaron Wiggins' night last night that was really impactful. His 4 offensive rebounds.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember. I think it was in the first half of that game. Aaron Wiggins flew in out of nowhere. I forget who missed the shot. Someone missed the shot. And Aaron Wiggins flies in out of nowhere. I thought he got dropped in from the ceiling, grabbed the offensive rebound, and dunked it back in. And I was gobsmacked. Yeah. It was just like, where did he come from? The arena loved it. But he had 4 of those kind of big offensive rebounds. And the Thunder, that was a big key for them down the stretch of that game, was their ability to just scrap and find those second chance opportunities. And I feel like Aaron had his fingerprints on that as well.
That putback at the end of the second quarter was really massive also because the Thunder had been down like 9 or 8 or something like that to that point, and put together this nice little burst to just get back to within 4 before halftime. And they did the same thing at the end of the third quarter. Actually, again, they were down, I think 10, and they were able to cut it back. I think it was a 2 or 3 point disadvantage that they had heading into the fourth quarter. And guys talk all the time about how critical it is to finish quarters. And I really felt like that putback dunk by Wiggins in the second quarter gave the Thunder a little bit of nice momentum, and at least, again, kept the scoreboard connected enough to give themselves a chance in the second half. By the way, the Thunder had 15 second chance points last night. This is a bit of a trend here. We saw earlier in the road trip as well, second chance points being a big factor for this group.
And it paid off big time when the Thunder really needed some points in the fourth quarter, which brings us to one of our big talking points in this podcast, which is the fact that the Thunder, as we mentioned, has played in 5 regular season games. 4 of those games have gone into clutch time. By definition, clutch time in the NBA is when the game is within 5 points on the scoreboard under 5 minutes of play. And 4 of the 5 games, as we know, including those 2 overtime games, have gone into this sort of mode in for the Thunder. Obviously, the Thunder has come out unscathed in all of those scenarios. But each of those 4 clutch time games have taken on a different tone. They're different challenges in themselves. They're not all the same. And yet, Oklahoma City has been able to execute kind of whatever is required in those games. So like we mentioned against Sacramento, for example, it wasn't necessarily the, sharp execution that got the Thunder the win. It was just grit, hustle, scrap, fight, and effort that got them that win. Being first on the floor to a loose ball, picking up the second chance points, and then knocking down threes when the clock was winding down. Now, you turn the page and you look back to Dallas, and that required a different level of execution, but the Thunder really able to put together some really sharp minutes in these late game moments.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at all 4 of them, it's requiring different types of mental presence and mental gymnastics to some degree. The Sacramento game, the Kings had been sort of in control of the game flow until you started to get a little bit more of a grip on the game, but that was a come from behind victory. Yeah. The one in Dallas, equally impressive, but in a different way. The mental resolve to take the haymaker that Dallas laid on you late in that fourth quarter. The Thunder had a big lead, I think nearly 20 points.
22.
Yeah, 22 points in that game down in Dallas. Mavericks were on the second night of back-to-back, and then all of a sudden, here they come charging, and they pull to within 1 possession. For the Thunder to not completely fall apart, for the Thunder to rely on what it's practiced, which was a big talking point after the game, and to be able to execute down the stretch and just get to that next play, that 0-0 mentality was really critical for them. And after that game, Isaiah Hartenstein just waxed poetic about the way that Mark Daigneault prepares the team in practices and in training camp for these little, hey, we got 1 minute on the clock. Here's the situation. What are our critical thinking skills that we need in these situations to go out and execute? Because we're not always going to have time to everybody turn around and look at me and say, hey, go do this and then go do this. And
we're not always going to be able to have a timeout.
Right.
We're not always going to have that opportunity to burn a timeout to get everybody organized and together. And every situation is going to be different. So if I give you the keys to, if I give you a rubric right now to follow, like it's not going to help you. If I give you step by step what to do, that's not going to help you.
Run high pick and roll doesn't work if you've got a 1-2-2 zone or something like that. Which Sacramento
they were playing a 2-3 zone the entire night. So that's not going to work. We have to be able to be adaptable and versatile in these situations and read and react and make the right decision. And the Thunder has done that so well. And to your point about Mark, he also brought up the point that I don't overcoach these guys in these moments. You're not going to see Coach Daigneault like ferociously pointing in these sort of scenarios. Now he's obviously like out there coaching and everything. He's like getting everybody organized, but a lot of it is just trusting the guys out there on the floor to use those critical thinking skills that they've worked on so hard in practice and make the right play. I'm going to give you some stats that really highlights this. And shout out to our guy, Chris Josephson, for really coming in clutch.
Talk about clutch time performer.
Clutch time player, Chris Josephson. These clutch time stats really speak volumes to how the Thunder's able to execute over the course of this season so far. They have outscored their opponents 96-61 in these clutch time minutes. 96-61. That's insane. Secondly, this is my favorite stat, the 3-point field goal percentage. Oklahoma City, so far, in 35 minutes of clutch time this season, which is insane. That's a lot of minutes.
That's almost an entire game already.
Of just straight clutch time. In 35 minutes, the Thunder has shot 34% from the 3-point line in clutch time. Their opponents have shot 5.9%. One made 3-pointer over the course of 35 minutes of clutch time. Here's the last one, and I'll leave you with this. Turnovers. The Thunder's opponents have had 11 turnovers in 35 minutes of clutch time. The Thunder, 1.
Yeah, that was a massive storyline in the Indiana game.
Great point.
All game long, the Thunder actually really kind of struggled with turnovers. They've typically, for the last few years, been a team that just dominates the turnover battle, the points off turnover battle. They actually had more than Indiana to head into that fourth quarter. But in the fourth quarter and in the two overtimes, the Thunder only turned the ball over once that entire rest of that time, which is, I think, that one turnover that we see right there.
I think that's the only one. Yep, that's it.
And so I bring that up just to say that we've seen so many different ways in which this team has been able to generate success in clutch time. In the Houston game and in the Indiana game, it was a lot of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and getting to his spots on the floor. Against Houston, being able to manufacture a look that got Kevin Durant up off of his feet and draw the foul and get to the free throw line. Indiana, of course, that was just all hands on deck, making some key shots when you needed to and kind of going back and forth with Pascal Siakam and some of the shot making there. But then at Dallas, when they're really trying everything they can to take Shai away, he just makes the right pass, and it's Isaiah Hartenstein who makes the two biggest baskets of the game. One on an attack downhill, another on a putback. And then back home here against Sacramento, it was by committee. Again, Dort hits the big 3. It's Wiggins making the hustle play. Caruso on the catch and shoot on the ball zooming around the perimeter. So this team has shown that it's got multiple different cards to play. And to your point, it's read and react. It's not prescriptive.
You're bringing up something that I think is one of the biggest keys to the success in clutch time. You have this exceptionally talented player in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, which you would think would be the obvious choice. Let's just say Thunder's down by 3 points. With 2 seconds left to play. Sideline out of bounds. Mark Daigneault draws up a play. You're coming out of a timeout. Where does everyone think the ball's going to go? To Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. However, as you've pointed out, it's been by committee. We have mentioned probably 5 different names that have shown up big time for the Thunder down the stretch in 35 minutes of clutch time so far this season. Aaron Wiggins, Lou Dort, Alex Caruso, Isaiah Hartenstein. We haven't even talked about Ajay Mitchell, who's been playing incredibly well right now. All of those options, the Thunder trusts wholeheartedly to make the right play in critical moments. And not only does the coaching staff trust them, but the team itself, the Thunder's the whole team, they all know that anyone can make that play. There's no ego that goes into it. Like, no, I want it. No, I want it. It's like, no, who's got the best shot right now? Who has the best opportunity to make a bucket in this moment? And that's where the Thunder's going to go. And that makes it incredibly difficult to guard when you're on a sideline out of bounds play as a defender going up against the Thunder and you're up by 3 points and you're like, okay, I think the ball's going to go to Shai. But actually, Shai's going to set a screen for Ajay Mitchell, who's going to curl off of it and knock down a 3. And that just plays so many different mind games and gives the Thunder such an advantage.
But it's also, it's not this like massive amount of complexity for the Thunder. And
Great point.
Players have been saying to us for a couple years now is like how efficient and how simple and straightforward the directives are from Mark Daigneault and the coaching staff. So like Ajay Mitchell told us last night what he thinks about and what he needs to know is what's going on in the game. What's the time, score, situation? What's the opposing defense? What's the, once you have that, it's almost like you kind of have like route combinations in football. It's like if you're seeing a certain type of defense, this is the route that I'm going to run. But if I'm seeing this type of defense, this is the route that I'm going to run. And so for the Thunder, it's not a ton of thinking. It's just more reactive and being able to play off of these core principles and fundamentals. What becomes confusing for opposing teams is all of the parts are interchangeable.
100%.
So you can't always prescribe as a defense. Okay, well, we want our best defender on this person. And Shai even told us last night, he peeled back the curtain just a little bit. He said, we know what matchups we want to hunt. And we know what alignments we want to try to get to in terms of the opposing defensive personnel. And so there is a little bit of that reading and reacting, but there is some level of dictating. And when you've got the MVP on your team, you can do a lot of that.
And the superpower for the Thunder is to make everything so simple for the players and yet make it so complicated for opponents to try to figure it out. And clearly the Thunder off to a great start so far this season, a perfect 5-0. 4 of those games, as we mentioned, coming in clutch time. I want to bring up a guy that we've talked about a couple of times now, and it's Ajay Mitchell, who's gotten off to an incredible start this season. Really good to see him out there on the court. He dealt with a lot of injury last year. And right now, this season, he's averaging 18 points per game. He's shooting a hyper-efficient 47% from the field. He's coming off a game against the Sacramento Kings where he put up 18 points off the bench. And he's now scored in double figures in, I think, all 5 or maybe 4 straight. I think it's 5. All 5.
Yeah.
He's scored in double figures. And so it really feels like he's popping right now.
Yeah.
But what the message we've gotten from Coach Daigneault and his teammates is that this is nothing new. We all need to remind you that he was playing at a really high level to start the season last year before he got hurt. And he might not have been playing at this level. Obviously, he's stronger. He's got more experience now. But this isn't necessarily new. No one's surprised by how well Ajay is playing. He's always been a very impactful player. And in fact, he's also taken a step forward on the defensive end as well, taking on some really substantial matchups.
Yeah, I mean, you have to remember, it was only, I think, 36 games last year maybe, but he was like basically on track to be a 50, 40, 90 type of guy, just extraordinarily efficient in those, few months that he was able to play. And to your point on the defensive end of the floor, he is guarding at an extremely high level, 3.5 deflections per game, which just for context, I mean, that'd be right up there at the top of the heap. I mean, Dyson Daniels, who is, always one of the best in that, is right around that number usually. And then the big one is, look, Ajay Mitchell's he's not a 6'8", like rangy, long, prototypical, like this is the wing defender that you want in terms of contesting shots. But Mitchell has contested shots extremely well this year. Opponents are shooting just 7 of 30 against him so far this season. That's only 23%. I mean, that would be like off the charts bad for a team or a player to be shooting that way. So for Ajay to be able to do that defensively to this point, really impressive. particularly when you think about what he's had as in terms of an offensive load so far.
And you also look at the players that he's defending. Like these aren't, like 8, 9, 10 option off the bench. This is like against the Dallas Mavericks. He had a lot of minutes against D'Angelo Russell, and then against the Sacramento Kings. Take your pick.
I mean, so many great guards on that Kings team.
DeMar DeRozan, Malik Monk, Russell Westbrook, Zach LaVine. He's literally rotating onto all of those guys
he was
throughout
checking
the
all
night.
those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he held his own, did a really good job. And Coach Daigneault told us after I think it was the Dallas game. I'm getting my games mixed up. But he said his high level of being able to defend at a high level is opening up a lot of optionality for us. Because as we mentioned, Alex Caruso only came back into the lineup last night against the Mavs. And then Lou Dort missed a game as well. Jalen Williams, J-Dub, has been out to start the season. So that's 3 really good perimeter defenders that the Thunder has been down, throughout the course of these 5 games. And the fact that Ajay Mitchell's been able to step up and hold his own defensively against some really tough, high-level players, it's really, really key for Oklahoma City.
Yeah, and the great thing is that he's shown an ability to adapt to whatever the role is that night. These teams are organic.
Yeah.
They're not just static objects, right? We've talked so much about this Thunder team is not static from what they were last season. So the Thunder's going to get Chet Holmgren back soon. The Thunder's going to get J-Dub back soon. They're going to get, hopefully Topic back here in the next few weeks or so, month. And same with Isaiah Joe as we continue to learn more about how he's in his return to play. So that is going to add so many different dynamics to the group as well. And so everyone being able to absorb whatever is being asked of them and to maybe slightly alter. I mean, that's just part of being a good team and part of maximizing the group over the course of the year and why this team has been able to be successful in this 5 games and 8 night stretch.
Yeah.
Because they've been able to throw, last night was a great example. They threw Brandon Carlson out there for 5 or so critical minutes after he's played 0 rotation minutes all season.
Yeah. And mind you, him and Brooks Carlson, Chris Youngblood, all of those guys have seen minutes, real minutes in this regular season. And that just goes to show the adaptability that the Thunder works with and the trust that they have in their players. It's showing up big time. Last topic of discussion, we have to talk about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander because we would be remiss to let what he's doing go unnoticed. It takes a certain level of greatness to make 31 points feel like a walk in the park. Ho-hum, normal average day for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. No, he's averaging 34 points per game over these first 5 games, including a 55-point performance on the road.
He's been sensational. There was a stretch there where he was basically like a point per minute guy. I think he scored 120 points in 122 total minutes. And, the scoring's been loud. Mark Daigneault has really praised his playmaking and just manipulation of the game. But, the scoring is essential right now. When you have who was your second leading scorer last year unavailable to you to start this whole year. So for him to be able to do that is excellent. He's also on this just majestic streak of games of at least 20 or more points.
It's like
I think he's up to 77 or
76.
78.
Okay.
I think 70.
He was at 76 before
last night. Yeah.
So 77.
He's at 77 now. That's the 4th most of all time. He's creeping up on 3rd place there. And the only guys ahead of him, I think, are Oscar Robertson and Wilt Chamberlain. And so, those 2 guys, if you think about any, stat streak or any, stat, it's probably one of those 2 guys.
Those are the guys always at the top of the list. At any time your name is in the same sentence as Wilt Chamberlain, the same guy who held up 100 in front of his locker, you're doing something right. You're doing really great things. And Shai's been doing that really over the last few seasons now. Just incredible numbers. And the last thing about Shai, he also had 3 blocks last night. His effort does not quit on the defensive end of the floor. He is giving 100% on both ends.
Only he and Evan Mobley, who, of course, Defensive Player of the Year candidate every year, only the 2 of them are guys that have at least 7 blocks and at least 7 steals so far this season. So Shai, once again, he is always one of these guys that is a league leader at the guard spot in both steals and blocks.
Incredible stuff from SGA. His consistency just is elite.
Yeah.
The kids at home, take notes.
Yeah, take notes.
Take notes.
Be that guy.
All right, let's get into what's brewing for Oklahoma City. As we mentioned, they are currently in a 3-game homestand. It's so lovely being home for a nice week.
We like this.
So nice. But they have 2 more games of this homestand. On Thursday, they welcome in the Washington Wizards. Currently, the Thunder's undefeated against the East. I can't remember the last time they lost to the East in the regular season. I can remember postseason, but I can't remember the regular season.
Yeah,
it's been a minute.
Let me grab this real fast because this is a remarkable stat. The Thunder has won now 21 straight games against Eastern Conference teams. That is the most ever. Yeah. That is the longest streak ever in NBA history. The 2 other teams that had 20 were Boston and Los Angeles.
That's incredible.
In the early 1970s. So now the longest streak ever of victories against the opposing conference.
And now you welcome in a Washington Wizards team on Thursday in Paycom Center, who they are an interesting team. They're young, but they have a couple of veteran pieces, guys like CJ McCollum, but like I think 6 guys who are averaging double figures. And so you have a lot to kind of account for, and it'll be a different test once again for Oklahoma City than what they've faced over these last few games, where you got a lot of different guys who can get going and a team with young legs and who can certainly get going offensively.
Yeah, these are going to be great competitive challenges for the Thunder to make sure that they are approaching these games maybe a bit better than they would say they approached the Sacramento game, where they let things get a little bit too loose. The fundamentals weren't as tight as they needed to be. Look, these 2 teams coming in, Washington and New Orleans, like they've got young guys who are out there trying to prove that they deserve to be in the NBA. Mm-hmm. And they're going to play with freedom, with confidence, with looseness. The Thunder has to try to play with restraint, resist some of those temptations for early shots. It's something I noticed actually early in the Sacramento game. It was like almost so easy for the Thunder to get an open shot within the first 4 or 5 seconds of the shot clock that they didn't work the possession more to get like an elite shot.
Oh, interesting. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so they were taking, this is a good shot and it's available right now. I mean, this is like, why not take this shot? Usually you have to work a little bit more to get that level of shot and move the defense and get that rhythm going and just get the ball kind of hyped up and get that energy behind the ball that everybody talks about. And so I felt like in that second half, the Thunder was way more intentional about like, okay, we're going to really work the possession to get what we want to get to. In the first half, they did have a really nice layup line to the rim. And in the second half, they were able to kind of marry that with better catch and shoot looks as well. So that will be another competitive challenge with these 2 teams coming in too.
Definitely. And then you welcome in the New Orleans Pelicans, as you mentioned. That game is on Sunday, and it's an early tip-off, 2:30 Central Time in Paycom Center. I always get excited for those games because those are the games where like, everyone brings their families. There are a lot of like young kids in the crowd too. So that should be a fun atmosphere. Excited to have a couple more games here inside of Paycom Center before the Thunder heads out for a 4-game road trip that starts out west. Yeah, that's going to be a long one. Yeah,
that's a haul. That one's, I think, at the Clippers, at Portland, at Sacramento again, and then at Memphis. So the Thunder going to really try to soak up what they have here at home on this 3-game homestand, and then they're right back out on the road for a long stretch.
Yeah, but the Thunder going to be very present, be where their feet are. And right now it's an off day, but then right back at it on Thursday against the Washington Wizards. But that wraps up today's episode. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Be sure to like, rate, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you so much to our producer, Matt Bishop. And until next time, Thunder up and catch you later.